Shazam is the new DC Comics movie. I was able to see it early because of a fan appreciation special screening where they play the movie for 2 shows 2 weeks before the film comes out as a sort of sneak preview open to the public. So I was able to grab some tickets. I'm not the biggest fan of Captain Marvel or Shazam. I've seen him in I've read one of his comic books where he gets mentored by Superman, and I've seen him in Justice League War and a few Justice League different shows where he shows up in things. But I'm not that big on the character. However, the movie seemed fun from the trailers I watched, so decided to check it out anyway. This movie is a sort of coming-of-age story about a foster child who keeps running away from foster homes because he keeps looking for his mother. And he finally finds himself in a group foster home with a bunch of other kids. And however, after running away from some bullies, he gets transported to another world of sorts, and he's given the powers of the wizard Shazam. The wizard is weakening, so he needs a new champion to help the Earth. So young Billy Batson is given the powers of Shazam. However, that also comes with a body transformation. So the first half of this movie is mostly like a comedy, sort of like, oh, what powers do you have kind of thing. It's very playful. It's really enjoyable. They do stuff, you know, like get beer and they get snacks, and however, the thing that I liked the most about this movie was probably the villain. Mark Strong plays Thaddeus Sivana, another person who was rejected by Shazam, the wizard Shazam, and he finds a way to get his own powers. So they face off, and he just literally just shows up in the middle of a scene, so it's great. He also has this sympathetic, a little bit more background than you're used to, so it's a villain who is a little bit more developed. I really enjoyed that aspect. He was definitely probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. Also, I noticed that the foster kids of the house actually have a lot of development. You actually remember all their names despite them, you know, having only a few minutes of screen time each. What I like most about Shazam is that the movie takes a lot of creative risks. The trailers don't show the stuff that happens later in the movie, and I'm glad for that. So it's a nice surprise that all these elements were actually used that, you know, they might shy away from and try to save for a sequel. This movie just goes all out at the end, so I really like that aspect. Is there anything I didn't like about the film? Sometimes the movie's a little bit too jokey. I understand that, you know, DC's trying to go for a more lighthearted tone. The first half of the movie it works, but you know, when things are getting a little bit more serious and people are fighting, you want it to be a little bit more serious. However, they're still doing the jokes and things like that. That didn't really bother me too much though. I really like the visual effects. They're really good. Action sequences are fun. And the movie is really different, and I really like that. The movie doesn't feel like any other superhero movie. This is a unique superhero movie that mixes, you know, a kid having superpowers. There are some other parts of the movie that are really unrealistic. Like there's a scene where this Freddy, he's like a disabled kid, gets hit by a truck, like a small accident, and then the bullies get out of the car and start like kicking him in the stomach while he's down. Like, this is the most unrealistic thing I've ever seen in a movie in my entire life. But you know, it's a comic book movie, so there's going to be some weird scenes like that. Other than that though, Shazam was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Not as much as Aquaman, but it's a movie worth seeing if you're in the mood for a fun, different kind of superhero movie with a really good villain. So I give Shazam a 7.5 out of 10.